The 1st of July 1916 has remained the darkest day in British military history. It is the first day of the Battle of the Somme, and in today's episode we're going to be looking at the main reasons behind why the Somme was a massacre on that first day. Although the battle would last until November, this first day marked one of the bloodiest battles in the entire First World War. My name is Gabrielle McMaster. I am an author and historian. In today's episode, I will give a very brief overview of the situation on the first day before delving into the 5 main reasons as to why the Somme turned into this massacre on that first day. So a brief overview of the battle on this first day. It was the 1st of July 1916. 0 hour was set for 7:30 a.m. 750,000 men were waiting to go over the top. Out of those 750,000 men, 19,000 would lose their lives on that first day. But how did the Somme turn into this massacre? Well, let's take a look at those 5 reasons now. The first reason is, of course, that Haig always gets the blame for the Somme being a massacre, but that is actually quite far from the truth. Haig was forced to keep the French in the war by any means possible. He didn't actually want to attack where there was no strategic advantage. And for Haig, he's seen no use in fighting at the Somme. The Somme proved to be no strategic advantage to the war or to Haig's army. The French were forcing Haig to fight at the Somme. Originally, he had been told to fight in August, with the promise of 40 French divisions. But then the Battle of Verdun happened. The French struggled at Verdun and told Haig to do an attack at the Somme to relieve them of the German forces. If Haig did his attack, a lot of the German forces would then move from Verdun over to the Somme. The latest date that the French gave Haig was the 1st of July. Haig took that latest date, but the men were not trained enough, and no matter how late Haig had left it, the men were not going to be trained well enough. After Verdun, which brings us into the second reason, the French could only spare 5 divisions to help 22 British, and that was nowhere near enough for them to attack at the Somme. Already the British were going in with less men than they should have had. Had they had all 40 divisions, perhaps things could have been different. But looking at the other aspects to this, it is unlikely. So let's go into those other aspects now. Tunnelers set up mines to go up at 2 minutes before 0 hour. This would have been 7:28 a.m. But one mine went up 10 minutes early. This killed the tunnelers who were still present under the ground, working at laying all the mines. This mine was known as Hawthorne Mine or Hawthorne Ridge. When this mine went up, this alerted the Germans to an attack coming. The Germans climbed into the crater that formed, giving them better aim at the men when 7:30 came. One regiment, the Newfoundland Regiment, were actually ordered to take it back. They could not move around the trenches due to the amount of bodies lying there, so they had to go over the top. All 800 men of the Newfoundland Regiment on that day were wiped out by German machine guns within 2 minutes. The men did not even get past the British lines because they went over the top before even getting anywhere near no man's land. This is the third reason as to why this was an utter massacre. Our fourth reason is one that a lot of people do know, and it is that all the wire was not cut for the men. As the men went into the trenches before going over the top, they were handed wire cutters. And at the time they thought that this would have come in handy as they got closer to the German line. But little did they know that at 7:30 a.m, those that went over the top had to start cutting the wire. Their uniforms were getting tangled in it, and they became sitting targets for German machine guns. One small fact that not many people know is that British wire cutters did not go through the German wire. The British wire cutters did not stand a chance on that wire on the 1st of July. resulting in the men literally tangling themselves in the German barbed wire. Our fifth reason comes off this, and that is that the Germans had 3 lines of defence. The first line of defence aimed at the legs, the second line of defence aimed at the torso, and the last line of defence aimed at the head. This ensured that any man was going to be hit in one of those places. And as the men got tangled into the wire, these 3 lines of defences which had been formed proved to be even more dangerous for the men. While there are so many other reasons that we could lump into the Somme being a massacre on that first day, these 5 reasons proved to be the most vital ones as to why it ended up in such a mess, why so many lives were lost. While it is easy to blame General Haig on this, he did not have any other option but to fight at the Somme. For the entire Battle of the Somme, from July to November, 300,000 men were killed, with 19,000 being on that first day. For us today, that actually amounts to more than the Allied ground force casualties on D-Day in World War II. The entire Battle of the Somme proved a turning point in the war. No war has seen something as bloody as this first day, and this is why it is so prevalent still in people's minds. In our next episodes on the First World War, we will be starting to look at recruitment and the Battle of the Somme and other aspects such as shell shock as well. The World War I aspect to history has so much depth to it, and I am looking forward to bringing you more episodes on it. Thank you very much, and if you enjoyed, please do subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.